that is going to be of interest to all of you, and we're going to talk about how to actually look at the process of an LLM. Pretty much, we're going to be discussing very interesting points and issues about what is it that you have to look at in order to consider an LLM program. So without further ado, I would like to tell you that we have excellent experts today that are going to talk about that. We have Georgetown University, we have McGeorge School, University of California, Irvine School, University of Cincinnati, University of Southern California, Vanderbilt, and University of Pennsylvania. And I would like to give the floor to our representatives and experts on the topic. During the presentation, before I forget, I'm going to be posting links, Zoom links to private meetings that you're going to have with each of the representatives. So if at some point you want to attend on any of those meetings, please make sure that you copy paste the link, the Zoom link that I'm going to be posting in the chat box. Okay, remember, I'm going to be posting throughout the presentation some Zoom links that you could use in order to meet with the representatives later on. If you have any questions, we will also have a Q&A session at the end, so you could ask questions. So we will have around 5 to 7 minutes in order to ask any questions that you have. So without further ado, let's give the floor to our representatives.
So hello, everyone. I volunteered to control the presentation, so perhaps that means I get to introduce the program as well. My name is Karen Boland, and I'm from Georgetown University Law Center. There's several of us here from different schools today that are going to cover different aspects of how to choose an LLM program. And the basic categories that we're going to cover are all things that you might want to think about as you look at different LLM programs. Where is it located? What types of courses do they offer? How big is the program? Are there professors there who are specializing in your area of interest? What kind of experiential or clinical programs are offered? How about other extracurricular opportunities? And how can you make use of the alumni network? So those are the areas we're going to cover. I will advance the slides for the different presenters, and our first subject is going to be about LLM program location.
Thanks so much, Karen, and just a special thank you on behalf of all of the U.S. law schools to our hosts from EducationUSA. We're so grateful for this opportunity to speak to a group of wonderful Brazilian attorneys and students. So thank you for hosting this and hosting this event. My name is Kari Hornsby. As the slide says, I am the Assistant Dean at University of California, Irvine School of Law. Irvine is located halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego in Southern California. We're about 10 minutes from Newport Beach. And I'm happy to talk to you a bit this afternoon about location and some of the things you might consider in terms of location when you're looking at various LLM options. Karen, please feel free to advance. So first, I want to start broadly because there are a lot of options for LLM programs, not just, of course, in the US, but around the world. So the first thing I'd love to do is just kind of differentiate US LLM programs from some of the programs around the world to give kind of a cost benefit. Historically, LLMs were offered in English-speaking countries, countries that had some form or were former colonies of the UK or the UK themselves and had some form of common law. Since then, we've had just numerous LLM programs from around the world. In Spain, which is a popular option for some students from Brazil historically. In Brazil itself, Singapore, China, France, the Netherlands, of course, Canada, and Australia and the UK as well. Some of the benefits of pursuing a US LLM program are the value of the degree. Now, that may seem a little counterintuitive because US LLM programs tend to be a bit more expensive than their counterparts in other countries. But we really believe there's a value add and some wonderful benefits you get from a US LLM experiences that you may not receive in other areas of the world. One of them is the ability to practice law and become a licensed attorney in the US. This is a very, very rare opportunity to be able to come to a country and in approximately 1 calendar year, you could have completed your LLM degree and qualified to sit for a state bar exam. One of my colleagues will be speaking a bit more about this later on in the presentation. But for many of our students and our alumni, this is a wonderful opportunity to differentiate themselves from other attorneys in their home country, or perhaps you might be considering a global career based in the US or in other places. And the ability to have an additional credential in addition to your credential from Brazil is really helpful, and it helps you differentiate yourself from others. Also, student services. This is something that US universities do particularly well. Most of our universities will have someone who is dedicated to helping LLM students figure out and develop themselves professionally, figure out how to find practical experiences in the US job market, interview skills, polishing your US resume, right? Resumes, CVs are very cultural, and each culture has kind of their own distinct way of going about things. And the degree of advisement you'll get, the connections to alumni networks and the community is something that US law schools do a very good job of. So you're not just in the law school, but you have people who are dedicated to your development professionally and culturally during your LLM year and beyond. And we think that's something that's really valuable and something our students and our alumni take a great deal of pride in. Karen, please feel free to advance the slide. Thank you so much. So once you've decided that enrolling in an LLM program in the US is the right decision, which we think it is, then you want to consider, okay, where in the US might I consider going to law school and continuing my education? And this is where things there's a lot of opportunity, but also there's a lot of discernment that must take place. Because there are approximately 150 plus LLM programs in the US. So there's a lot of variety. Now, of course, you're going for a degree. The educational experience will be first and foremost in your considerations. So you'll be looking at things like the faculty, the type of specializations offered, your choices in courses, class sizes. Again, we'll talk about this a little bit more later. But keep in mind, the location of your law school is like an ecosystem, right? Your experience will be impacted, sometimes directly, because adjunct professors, et cetera, sometimes come from the existing and surrounding legal community. And so where you go to school will matter. Things you might want to consider, the local legal community, right? If you have a certain specialized area of law you want to practice in and you want to get particular experiences in, it's always great to look outside your school and say, okay, is that practice area abundant in the community in which my school is located? Will I have access? Will I be able to interact with attorneys and practitioners during my law school experience? Business community, some of the same considerations. If you're in IP or business or entertainment law, some of those things are very relational endeavors. And so it helps to be able to interact with people who are doing and practicing that type of law. Of course, local culture, right? You're in the US for a cultural experience. One of the benefits of being in the US is its diversity, culturally and otherwise. So is the area outside the law school a place that interests you? Are there things for you to do when you're not studying, right? There won't be a lot of time when you're not studying, but there will be time when you're not studying. Will it be able to nurture you in that way? Of course, cost of living, safety, housing. Some of you might be coming to the US by yourself. Others might be coming with family. different considerations are involved in that. So you want to make sure you look at the local community in terms of cost, in terms of safety, in terms of access to housing, to make sure in some places you'll feel comfortable spending the next 9 months to a year of your academic and professional career. And of course, climate. The beautiful thing about the US is that any climate you could pretty much want, we have it. So if you're a person who really wants to experience winter for the first time, with snow and everything like that, we've got schools for you. If you are a person who loves the sun and a Mediterranean environment, plenty of options there. Keep in mind, academics is first and foremost, but of course, if you are happy, if you feel comfortable, if you feel supported, you're able to focus more on your academic pursuits. So be sure when you're looking at your law schools, take a look and reflect inside. What are the ingredients that you need to be successful? And match that with the law school and the surroundings, the ecosystem of the law school that can best support that. Thanks so much. And we'll pass it on to my next colleague.
Thank you, Kari. And thank you also to Education USA for hosting this webinar. My name is Ashley Sim. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at the University of Southern California, Gould School of Law in Los Angeles. So I'm a little bit north of Kari at UCI. I hope that I will meet many of you after the presentation in our separate breakout room. Another way beyond location that we covered to choose your LLM might be based on finding the match between what courses the law schools offer and what you're looking for. So I'll be touching on that topic. Thank you, Karen. As many law schools offer specialized LLM degrees, in addition to the general LLM, I might advise you to consider initially whether you wish to pursue the traditional general LLM or a specialized degree, such as LLM in tax or LLM in alternative dispute resolution. In making that decision, you may wish to consider whether for your potential employers or clients, you want the flexibility that a general LLM degree will allow you, or you know exactly what your practice area will be and you want the degree name itself to demonstrate your expertise. I recommend that before you decide on a degree, you're aware of what is required for completing such degree. And if you are sponsored by your government or organization, of what is required for your sponsorship. Next slide, Karen, please. As you select the degree that is right for you, you may also simultaneously weigh the benefits of taking more specialized versus general courses. More general courses may allow you to take a variety of classes, US bar subjects, and have a better overview of US law. Whereas more specialized courses may allow you to have priority registration for certain classes or clinics, take more advanced level courses in that subject area, and incorporate a certificate if that option is provided by the law school you are considering. Finally, if you wish to cross-register for courses outside of the law school, such as at the business school or public policy school, and your law school would allow for this, this may impact your choice as well for selecting more general courses or more specialized courses. Next slide, please. As our law schools offer a wide variety of degrees and courses, in making your decision, I suggest that you speak with trusted colleagues in your home country, meet virtually with advisors at the individual law schools to ask questions about the different LLM degree programs and about the different LLM courses that are available, and connect with current students and alumni to find out what their experiences have been. So that's it for me, and on to our next speaker.
Cynthia, I think you're on mute. I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to meet you all. And I'm Cynthia Coleman, Director of the LLM program at Vanderbilt Law School in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm going to speak briefly today about the size and considerations you should think about as you're looking at the size of the both the LLM program and also the university and the law school. So next slide, please. Thanks, Karen. So just as there are a wide variety of locations with great LLM programs, the size of LLM programs varies greatly. There are some very large LLM programs in the US and also some pretty small ones. So, and there are pros and cons, I'll say, for both. For large LLM programs, you'll have a great network immediately of international lawyers and students from all over the world. Some LLM programs have 200 students, so you may be able to increase your international network by 200 students practically overnight. You may find more courses offered at really large, in really large programs. And another advantage that an alum from a large school told me recently that she did not want a lot of attention from the faculty. She wanted to sit in the back of the class and be anonymous. So if that's what you're looking for, I think you would probably prefer a large class size. And then a lot of LLM programs are very small. I come from a university, a medium-sized university with a small LLM program. So you may be able to get more attention from staff and faculty. You may have more access to faculty office hours since there will be fewer students to compete for that time. And then another consideration in addition to the LLM program size is you should consider the size of the actual classes at the law school that you're considering attending and find out if you will have all your classes with your LLM classmates, or will you be taking classes with JD students? And if so, the size of the classes can range from very small seminars with only 15 or 20 students to really large popular classes. Where I work, corporate law classes are very popular, and those classes can have up to 100 students, even though we're a small law school. So look not only at the size of the LLM program, but the size of different classes at the law school. And I feel sure administrators at every law school you're considering will be glad to tell you more information about the different class sizes and opportunities. So the bottom line, in my opinion, is at a large law school with a large LLM program, you may still be able to enroll in some small sized classes, and vice versa. At a small school, you can probably enroll in some large classes. So there's really no right choice. It depends on your personal preference, but I feel sure wherever you choose, you'll have a great LLM experience. And I'll pass this on to my colleague Daniela at Penn.
Oh, hello, everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you, EducationUSA, for hosting this event. So I'm Daniela Branco. I'm originally from Brazil. I'm a graduate programs specialist here at Penn Carey Law. And I'll be talking about faculty, one of the most important factors that you should be considering when you are choosing your LLM program, right? You are here to learn, so you want to learn from the best, from people that really know what they're talking about. So in some case, for some students, faculty, and this is very common to hear, is actually the main factor in their decision to pursue an LLM at a specific school. They really want to study with a specific professor. So it's really common to hear that. Things that you should be looking at when you are evaluating your faculty is, of course, the quality of the faculty of that program and approachability, whether it is easy to access that person. How do you know if the faculty is good or prestigious? So usually you already know, you've read their books, you've read their work, but if you don't know, one way to find out is to go to the school's website and read their bios. You are going to learn about their education, their research, experience, publications, other interests. So if you don't know already about the faculty in that particular program, that's a good way to learn about them. You won't have classes with all of them, but you already know what area you would like to study. So it's easy to go and just do your research. Also, it's important to know about their recognition. So again, usually you already know because you've read their work, but it's good if they have some national, international recognition. Experts usually have that. So if they have published abroad, if they publish here, if their work is cited by the courts. So those are really good indicators of the quality of the faculty. And of course, quality, you can't fully appreciate quality if you can't have easy access to the professors, right? So approachability is another important factor that you should take into account. And usually the culture of the programs allows you to have access to those professors. So a program that is more collaborative, that is more friendly, it's easy for you to talk with professors and have access to them. And as Cynthia mentioned as well, the size of the program. So if it's a smaller program, it's easier for you to have office hours and to have contact with that faculty, and so you should take that into consideration as well. The other day, actually, I heard from an alumni that one of the highlights of her LL.M program was that she had a seminar with the author of a book that she used in her research in Chile, and it was like meeting a celebrity, and she was able to be in a small size classroom with a person that was like an idol to her. So it's really neat to hear those stories. So those are the things that you should consider, of course, when you are choosing your program based on your faculty. Move to the next one. Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nora Burke-Wagner. I'm Assistant Dean for International Programs at the University of Cincinnati College of Law. So Cincinnati, Ohio, we're located in the heart of the Midwest. I get to talk to you today about experiential learning opportunities in LL.M programs. And the reason I chose this topic is because I have had a number of our students and graduates tell me that it was their time spent in externships and legal clinics that was their favorite part of their LL.M experience. So starting with legal clinics. This is where students work under the supervision of attorneys and attorneys who are professors also to provide legal services to clients. So if this is something that you're interested in doing, you want to stop and think about what type of clinic, what area of the law, because not always, but most often legal clinics will focus on certain topic areas. So for example, criminal law. We happen to have a clinic that is an innocence project, working to free wrongfully convicted individuals in prison. That exists at a number of different law schools. There may be legal clinics in dealing with intellectual property issues, family law, business or entrepreneurship, and even international human rights. So if this is something that's interesting to you, you want to think about what topic area and then look for schools that have clinics in those that work in those areas. Moving on to the next slide, let's talk about externships. Now, the word externship is really just a US law school word for internship. In externship programs, students are placed in law offices to spend a certain number of hours a week working with attorneys in that law office in order to gain some real world experience in a legal setting. Now, there is also a classroom component traditionally that gives students a chance to work with other law students who are doing externships and with a professor. In addition, so also to consider with externships, that there may be externships in law offices, in corporate law offices, government law offices, law firms, or some law schools will offer what we call judicial externships, where the student is actually working in a courthouse with a judge. So again, opportunities vary by school. And if either one of these is something that's important to you, then as you're exploring LLM programs, you want to ask some questions. You want to ask whether LLM students are eligible for clinics. Are LLM students eligible for externships? Is there an application process? How many LLM students have the opportunity each year, or what percentage, to participate in these programs? And then what types of clinics or externship placements are available at that particular school? No law school can offer every single thing. So you want to make sure that you find a school that meets your needs. And the last slide that I have is just simply consider what opportunities you have for getting out into the legal community generally. Maybe you won't do a strict clinic or externship. That's okay too, but you may want to get some experiential learning by getting out into the legal community where you're studying, visit the courthouse, meet with judges, meet lawyers at law firms or in corporate settings, and get a chance just to get to know them, to build your own network, and to find out what the day-to-day legal culture is like. That's all for me, but I certainly hope that we'll get to meet some of you in the University of Cincinnati Zoom room later.
Good afternoon, friends. My name is Adriana. I am originally from São Paulo, Brazil, and I am a former LL.M student here from McGeorge School of Law. I'm now the assistant director, and it is a pleasure to be here today and speak with you about the infinite possibilities that an LL.M program, many doors that will be opened for you, as it has happened to so many people that have come to our schools here in the United States. So welcome to our presentation here. I'll be talking about, extracurricular activities and how you can maximize the ability to be here in the United States of America, to network, to use the knowledge that you learn in the classroom, outside the classroom. How can you do that? Well, one of the ingredients to be successful, to have a pleasant, successful experience doing your LL.M programs is through, social opportunities, networking with legal professionals from all over the world that are here in the United States, like yourselves, right? Considering coming to the United States to expand your knowledge that goes beyond the classroom. So to give you an example, you can be part of law students organizations. All the law schools do offer opportunities for students that have a special area of law or a special interest to join the law students organizations, where they discuss topics, they write articles, sometimes they even get published. Therefore, you have the opportunity to discuss, to learn, to teach, because remember, you're coming from Brazil and other countries from all over the world with the knowledge, the background in law. And believe me, there are a lot of American law students that are eager to learn from you as well. So it's an exchange of culture, it's an exchange of, law interests and how you deal and do transnational business or transactions all over the world. So I say that it is a very unique opportunity for you to expand your network, to really maximize the time that you're here in the United States by joining teams and other opportunities that the schools offer to you. Another opportunity or possibility is to also join the student journals. Yes, a lot of law schools do offer opportunity for the students to be part of law reviews and journals where they have newsletters, they share with the students about the updates in the law in specific areas of law as well. So there are a lot of chances for you to expand your vocabulary, to expand your network, to get to know other people in the university, in the law school, and of course, field trips. A lot of schools also take students, the LL.M students, to see in real time some of the courts, so you can learn firsthand how the judicial system in the United States works, the system of the courts, and you can visit, and sometimes you can even stay and watch, a lecture or even a hearing that's happening in the courts. So you are there really learning life, understanding how the procedures, the recipe as so called here in the United States, for you to be able to represent your client in court. So it's very interesting, it's hands-on experiences, and of course you can always, and you will enjoy your time with field trips, because there is a lot of historical sites that I'm sure you're gonna have, take advantage to expand your cultural experience while you are studying. Now, of course, you're going to be very busy studying, preparing for classes, but being able to be outside the classroom and interact with others and learning more about the culture, it's also part of your experience. Can we have the other slide, pretty please, Karen? And as I was saying, it is a unique cultural exchange. Remember, you're going to be socialized, networking with students, legal professionals from all over the world. I know my colleagues have touched on the diversity point, which is super important, because again, it is the unique opportunity to be in one place and have the opportunity to maximize your networking by really talking to judges, prosecutors, law schools, scholars from all over the world with different and very interesting law background. So it is an opportunity to travel, to talk, to interact, to learn and teach. And students really enjoy this opportunity by being here and really socialize with people from all over the world. Next one, pretty please. Thank you. And then, as I was saying, the experience, which is a transformative experience, believe me, you are going to leave your LL.M program being a different person, a different and a more powerful professional, because the experiences, they go beyond the classroom. Remember, students that are the American students that you're going to be taking classes with are eager to learn from and with you. So there will be a lot of cross-cultural exchanges, which we always tell our students, this is a lawyering skills. You are here to really contribute for the learning and the experience of all students that come from all over the world. And students really enjoy the after class conversation. That's where they are more relaxed. They participate in events that are open for all the students, including the LL.M students that participate in it. They gain that knowledge by just being out there and talking and putting to practice what they learn in the classroom. And the last slide, please. Thank you. And then most importantly, you all know and you are committed that you know that you need to study. You're going to give your 100%, I'm sure of it. And the last tip here is to enjoy your time in the program, because believe me, it's gonna go by super fast. And it is important to also take care of your mind, take care of your body, and, you know, of course, watch for your intellect. You're going to be learning so much. There is so much newness because it's a new culture. You're leaving behind everything that you know to come and experience America, right? To experience the law school in the United States. This is such a privilege that are not for everybody. So you are already privileged by being here with us today and learning more how we can make your dream coming true. You know, coming to the United States and have the ability to study, to be part of the higher education world, it is a privilege that's not for many. So you are already blessed in that way. So work hard, study hard, and have fun. And count on us to assist you to customize a program that is right for you. So thank you for your attention. Look forward to talking to you after the webinar. And I will invite here my friend, my next colleague, to talk about the alumni network. Thank you, Karen, so much for helping us with the slides today.
All right, no problem. And thank you all for contributing to the slides so we could do this as one big presentation. And thanks to Education USA for hosting us. I'm Karen Bullen. I'm the Assistant Dean for Graduate Admissions at Georgetown Law, and I'm going to speak about the Alumni Network. I think what you just heard from Adriana is a good introduction to talking about the Alumni Network, because one of the aspects that you will experience, one of the cultural experiences that you will have as an LLM student at a US law school is the participating in school spirit and having pride in your university. Probably many of you have seen movies where you've seen university sporting events, or even, you know, high school portrayed in American movies, and people have a very strong connection to their school and wearing school logos on their shirts or hats and going to sporting events and cheering loudly. Get into that when you are at your university, because it's really fun to become part of that community and develop a strong pride in your school. And that pride in your school is what translates into a strong alumni network. So if you really identify yourself as a student of this or that university and a graduate of your university, then you feel connected to other graduates of the university who have gone before you and to the next generations of students that will come through the university in the future. So the alumni network is a really important asset, something valuable that you will gain and take with you after you leave the LLM program, and that will be beneficial to you really throughout your career and your personal life as well. And I think you can even often begin to make use of that alumni network before you come to your LLM program. So somebody was mentioning earlier, asking around in your home country about whether a specialized or a general LLM is good for you, or maybe what the feel is like at the school that you're considering. Oftentimes, the admissions office at the university will be glad to put you into contact with people who have graduated from the LLM before you. So you can already take advantage of that alumni network to get some advice about how to make the most of your LLM. What is that school like? How did they find their apartment? What did they specialize in or not specialize in? So think about using that resource as you prepare to enroll in the LLM program. Once you come to campus, you will almost immediately get involved in various kinds of networking opportunities, and a lot of those you just heard about in the extracurricular opportunities presentation. You may also be invited to meet with alumni in the city where your law school is located, to start talking already about how they went about their job search, how can they help you, and just getting to know people and becoming part of that alumni network. So pay attention and participate in opportunities like that, because it's a great way to start building connections that can help you in various ways. I think sometimes people think, oh, I'm gonna look up an alumnus when I'm planning to apply for a job at their law firm. And certainly that's a good way, you know, to maybe get your foot in the door at a law firm, is if you can say, oh, I'm a Georgetown alum, I'm planning to interview at your firm. What advice can you give me? Those are some obvious ways to make use of a network, but other ways are, you know, you can't expect that you could just email an alum and ask them for a job, but you can talk to people about what they do, how they found their job, who they might know, where would they suggest that you look, how do you go about pursuing a career in a particular area of law. And those might be both people who have graduated before you or your very own classmates, because usually within an LLM program, you have people with varying levels of experience. Some of you may be going pretty soon after you finished your first degree in law. Other people might have been working for several years, and maybe you can take advantage of your more experienced classmates for advice on their practice area. Do they like it? What's the lifestyle like? Is somebody with your interests a good fit for that practice area? And then maybe you go out into the world later. You want to work in a new city, or you want to work, maybe make a change or change direction within your profession. Use that alumni network. Who do you know who's working where you'd like to work, whether that's in a city or a particular organization? How did somebody before you transition from a general practice in corporate into something more focused on technology or sports law or something like that? You should be able to find and search for graduates of your school and get their advice on those kinds of things. So as you consider schools, think also about what benefits you can get from that alumni network. Where are the alumni, the graduates of that school located? Are they in certain specific parts of the world or parts of the United States? Are they all around the world? How many graduates are there? How do you connect with them? And use those people in the future. They will refer business to you. You will refer business to them. You may even find yourself down some years in the future creating businesses or opening offices together with other graduates from your university. And of course, you always have the fun aspect of perhaps being able to have someone to visit when you're in another city or another country, or attending a wedding in another city or another country, or just going out to dinner with somebody you haven't met before. So stay open, meet new people. It's really one of the pieces of the LLM that is going to be of most value to you in the long term and over the course of your career. So that's the end of our overall presentation, going through the various topics. Samuel, maybe you can remind us how much time we each have to say a couple of words about our individual programs.
What we're going to do now is we're going to answer some questions, and then based on that, we're going to be able to sort of go into the time that you have available, right? So the first question that I have
For the moment.
Yeah, it's scholarships. Are there scholarship opportunities for international students? So anyone who wants to take the mic and tell us a little bit about that. I mean, how many, are there opportunities for international students to be able to get some scholarships, financial aid, or anything like that?
Sure, I'll go ahead and take a first attempt at this one. And of course, any of my colleagues, please feel free to chime in and supplement. As a general rule, I think I feel fairly comfortable speaking for us all, in that we all offer scholarships of some shape and form. We realize the U.S. LL.M. degree is a large commitment, and that includes a financial commitment. And so each of us may go about awarding scholarships in a different way, in different amounts, but as a rule, U.S. LL.M. programs will typically have a scholarship process. For University of California, Irvine, and I know a couple of peer schools as well, ours is integrated into the application process. So there's not a separate process for our specific school, California Irvine. Students who are admitted are automatically considered for scholarships. There are partial scholarships, and they range depending upon the admission committee's decision. So they review each application holistically, and the scholarship decision is made from that point. However, schools do it differently. I want to leave space for my colleague to chime in as well.
I think one thing I just want to add here is that it is important to consider, in addition to scholarships, you want to consider the tuition price and the cost of living wherever the LL.M. program is located. So the tuition at various American law schools, there's a huge range. So you're going to want to look at the ultimate bottom line, the tuition, take away any scholarship award that you received, and then what is the sticker price after that. So I always want to recommend to folks that they take a holistic look at the price so that they know what they're getting into, because there really is a huge difference, law school to law school.
I would also like to compliment, thank you so much, my colleagues, for explaining really well the scholarship process, is that in Brazil, I know a lot of students are from Brazil. Of course, there are other places in South America and all over the world, but for Brazil specifically, we have the Fundação Estudar e Instituto Link, that are two important organizations that are with funds, international funding for Masters of Law programs. So check it out as well. It's Fundação Estudar and Instituto Link. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Another recurring question that we have, and that they also posted and sent it to me, was about the opportunities for international students to take the bar exam. I mean, whether the LL.M. is a pathway for a law student to take the bar exam. And along with that, they're asking whether you feel there are job opportunities for international students in the law field. That's pretty much the question. So anybody who wants to take the floor, be my guest.
That, or then Cynthia,
Great. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Sure. So that is a very good question. And I think, first of all, as far as being eligible for the bar exam, one thing that's unique about the United States is that every state in the US has a different bar exam with its own requirements. So graduating with an LL.M. does not make you eligible to take the bar exam in every part of the United States. The most common state where LL.M. students are often eligible to take the bar exam is in New York, because New York has a specific set of requirements that foreign lawyers can follow in order to become eligible for the bar exam. So if you, generally speaking, if you have a full first degree in law from a country outside of the United States and have completed the educational requirements necessary to practice law in your home country, if you take an LL.M. program of at least 24 credits, and within that you take 12 credits in classes specified for the bar, then you can become eligible for the New York bar exam. There are some other states, California, if you are already a practicing lawyer admitted in another country or any other jurisdiction, you can take the California bar exam, or you can become eligible for the California bar exam by combining certain classes in your LL.M. with your first degree in law, like New York. I won't give the specifics on that. Maybe California people can. And there are a few other states that have variations on those rules for foreign lawyers. If there's a specific place where you think you want to take the bar, definitely do your research to see if there's a pathway for foreign lawyers, but it's not possible just to take the bar in every part of the United States. The question about whether or not there are jobs for international lawyers, from my experience, not every lawyer from outside the United States who wants to get a job in the United States is able to find one. And your ability to find a job as a lawyer in the United States depends on a lot of different factors. If you're coming here on an F1 student visa, you can stay for up to 1 year on optional practical training to work in the United States in a job related to your studies without having to go through another visa process. So some people are able to find a job for that OPT period, optional practical training. Whether you can continue in a job for a longer term after that may depend on whether that entity or another one is able to hire you, but also your ability to get a visa to stay in the United States to work. And then, there are many factors that go into whether or not you can find a job in the first place, including what kind of previous experience you have, what country you come from, where in the United States you want to work, what kind of job you want to do. So I don't think it's possible to give a yes or no answer about whether one is going to get a job in the United States. It is competitive. And so I always make sure students understand that doing the LLM is not a guarantee of becoming a long-term employed lawyer in the United States.
Thank you so much.
I think one thing, I just want to add one thing to Karen's great explanation, because sometimes students get confused about this. In most cases, you do not have to go to an LLM program that's in the state in which you're interested in being licensed. For example, I'm in California. Our students take the New York bar about half the time. Our students who are interested in the bar end up taking the New York bar. So that's just something I wanted to note, because sometimes students say, oh, New York bar, if I'm interested in that, I have to go to a school in New York. And that's not the case. I think for all of us, we have a certain amount of students, regardless of where we are in the country, that end up taking the New York bar or the DC bar or California, et cetera. So you definitely want to check the bar requirements, but do keep in mind that in most cases, I don't want to speak too broadly, but in most cases, especially in the case of New York, you do not need to attend a LLM program in New York to qualify to take the New York bar exam.
Okay, thank you so much. And there is a question here about, and specifically addressed to Georgetown, and they're asking about summer English courses. Whenever you don't get the score that you need to have in the TOEFL test, whether you have any kind of summer courses for students to be able to reach that score necessary to apply.
So we don't have conditional admission, so we won't say that we're going to admit you even though your TOEFL score is low, as long as you come for the summer. So we don't have that approach. But we do have a couple of things. The Georgetown University itself has various kinds of English language, including some focused on legal English programs that people can do if they feel like they want to improve their English. We also have a 6-week optional summer program for all students who are admitted to the LLM. And one of the things that helps you with is becoming more familiar in an English language speaking environment. However, that's only open for people who've already been admitted to the LLM and probably already have the required TOEFL score. And then we have a 2-year LLM program for students who want to spend the first year really focused on developing their English language skills in a legal context in order to be more prepared to take on the full LLM during the 2nd year. So that is an option for people who don't quite make our TOEFL or IELTS requirements when they apply.
Okay, there's a question about age limit, what's the age limit for somebody to be able to pursue an LLM in the United States of America? Anybody out there?
Well, I'll just echo what Karen just put in the chat there. The age varies greatly. There can be 21-year-old students who just graduated from their law school, or there can be, I think at Vanderbilt, maybe late 40s has been the oldest student I've known, but there's no age limit. And if someone is older and interested, I think you'd have a lot to offer as to the class and to your classmates. So I would not be concerned about age at all.
Thank you so much. And then no age limit from 20 to 60. Yeah, that's the answer. It seems there are no more questions. So it was pretty much about the bar exam and what you need to do in order to be able to. Oh yeah, there's one that was actually written to me directly, and it's in your opinion, what's one of the most important elements in the application packet for an LLM program? So what's the most important, or which do you consider to be the most relevant element of the application process for an LLM program?
Well, I'll just quickly say for Vanderbilt, professional experience, academic performance, and English proficiency are pretty much all very important.
Okay, perfect.
And to add to Cynthia's really good points about what to include and highlight in your application, I think a good match is also something that we look for in our students. Like, is this a good place for you to get to your professional goals, whatever that might be? So I think it's helpful to know the law schools that you're applying to a little bit and make sure that you demonstrate that it is a good match for you in your personal statement.
Let me add to Ashley's comments that remember that our schools, we host webinar series as well, specific talking about how to apply, personal statement, what to include, how to, you tell us your story. I love talking about the personal statement because I feel it is your opportunity to rise and shine. Tell us who you are, your interests, your goals. Is there any area of law that you are interested in? So stay tuned. Look at in our websites. We have excellent webinar series like this one here is talking about a specific how to apply or specific subjects that will help you to get the information you need and the confidence to submit your application and deadlines and all the important information as well.
Okay, perfect. I think we're almost there, 2 minutes, so you can go to your breakout rooms and go to your own sessions where you can talk about your programs specifically. For everyone who's out there, now we have a lot of questions. Remember that I've been posting their Zoom links. So I'm gonna, once I finish the session at 5 o'clock, I'm gonna stay around so the link doesn't get erased. So you can go look in the chat if you didn't have a time to copy and paste it somewhere. So don't worry, you can still look at or take a look at the chat box to see which university you want to visit. And there is just one last question, which is, I think it's an important question, which is about whether you need to, or I mean, when would you advise a student to go for a JD program, an LLM program? When should a student go for an LLM instead of a JD based on their academic goals?
That's a kind of tricky question.
I know.
So I guess there's a few things, not necessarily in order of importance. One is still the visa issue. So if you don't have US permanent residency or US citizenship, even with a JD, you are taking a risk of not being able to stay in the United States in the long term. And that is could be a big investment if you did a 3-year JD program and then we're counting on staying in the United States after that. But because of the competitive nature of the job market and the challenge for employers to sponsor people for visas, you might not be able to stay there. And I've seen that happen for international students who've done the JD at Georgetown before. If the citizenship thing is not an issue and you definitely want to be a lawyer in the United States and you want to have as many opportunities open to you as possible to practice all around the United States and in any area of practice, then a JD is probably the better option for you. If you are an experienced lawyer in your home country and you want to work in the United States in some longer term fashion, in the area that you've been practicing in already up to this point, an LLM may be enough to get you into a US employment situation, and you may have like unique enough skills for them to be able to get you the longer term visa that you need. Anyone else can feel free to jump in and add to that.
It's a very thorough explanation. One thing I will say is, just briefly, some schools do offer a LLM to JD transfer option. Keep in mind that JD admission tends to be much more rigorous than LLM admission as a rule. So if you are interested in that and you're not quite sure which road you want to take, you want to ask each school, because each school has different policies. But we do have a LLM to JD transfer policy, or excuse me, process. But it is possible to perhaps do both. If you end up doing that, it is the same amount of time, 3 years. The first year, your LLM in our case, and many schools' cases, will count towards 1 year of your JD, but there are enhanced requirements during your LLM year, and it is not an easy process, just to be clear. So yeah, that's another option.
Yeah, and I noticed a few of you guys have been also answering questions in the chat. Thank you so much. We're gonna just basically go for the breakout rooms. So I posted the links again. So I would appreciate it if representatives go to their Zoom links. I'm gonna stay here silent, pretty much for people to go and copy and paste the links that they want to visit. I mean, the links of the universities they want to visit. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for really, really interesting questions, really interesting answers. And this is definitely very fruitful for a lot of students out there who are looking for LLM programs or a career path in the United States of America. Without more to say, thank you all for being here. Thank you, representatives, for your time. I know organizing also takes time, and I know how you're busy you are at this point of the year. So that's it. So you could go to your Zoom links, and I'll stay here around for people to copy and paste the links for the universities they want to visit. You can visit 1 or 2 universities at the same time if you want. Okay, goodbye.